My name is Hannah Price, and on my 31st birthday, I got a phone call from my ex-mother-in-law congratulating me on our new baby. I was in the staff room at the GP surgery, where I work as a practice nurse in Manchester, holding a Tesco meal deal, watching the phone screen flash with her name. "Congratulations, love," she said, breathless with excitement. "He's gorgeous. Your mum says you must be over the moon. What did you call him in the end?" I stared at the plasterboard ceiling, feeling my pulse skid. "I don't have a baby, Carol," I said. "You know that." The line went quiet for a moment. "Well, that's not what Liam's Facebook says." She laughed uncertainly. "He posted the photo this morning. Welcome to the world, baby Noah Price. Thought you must have got back together and kept it quiet. You sly thing." My fork slipped and clattered onto the linoleum. My ex-husband, Liam Price, had a baby. He'd given the child my surname. And going by the way Carol said our new baby, everyone in his family thought it was mine. I pulled up Facebook with trembling fingers, searched his name. There it was, pinned to the top of his profile. Liam in a hospital chair, blue scrubs, cradling a newborn, tagging some woman I'd never seen before. His caption read, "Welcome to the world, Noah Price. Couldn't have done it without your amazing mum, Hannah, not me." Another Hannah, a girl with long blonde hair, half my age, whose profile picture was a mirror selfie in gym leggings. My colleagues were laughing about something in the corner. The kettle hissed. My world narrowed to two images, my old surname under the picture, and the hospital bracelet on the baby's ankle. On it, barely visible in the pixel blur, I could make out, "Mother, H. Price baby, Noah Price." I know what hospitals are like. I know how midwives write those bands. I know that every field on that bracelet comes from an ID band the mother wears on her wrist. I also knew, in that moment, that if I didn't check, I was going to spend the rest of my life hoping this was just a weird coincidence, because somewhere out there, my ex-husband had a new family, and he had stolen my name for it. Welcome to Quiet Storm Stories, where women who thought they'd closed the book on an old life discover that someone has been writing new chapters in their handwriting. If you've ever trusted someone with the admin of your shared life and then walked away thinking it was all over, this one's for you. Let me take you back 18 months. When Liam and I divorced, I thought we'd done it cleanly. We'd married to young him 25, me 23. He was a charming IT contractor with a motorcycle and an expensive coffee habit. I was a newly qualified nurse who thought compatibility meant liking the same Netflix shows. By 29, we were done. No kids, no house, just a one-bed rented flat, and a pile of shared furniture neither of us really wanted. We did the grown-up thing. Mediation, consent order, bank account separated. Liam took what he called his babies, his enormous gaming PC and his motorbike. I took the IKEA wardrobe and my own sense of relief. We kept the same surname, Price. I was too exhausted to go through the deed poll faff after the decree absolute. It was easier to stay Hannah Price than revert to my maiden name and change it everywhere at work. We stay, if not friends, then civil. The odd text about a parcel delivered to the wrong flat. A polite nod if we happened to bump into each other in town. When people asked, I said, it just wasn't right. Better now, and for a while, it was. I rented a tiny terrace house in Levenshulme. I work full-time at a GP surgery. I went to yoga twice a week. My life was mine again. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to me, Liam was building a new one. With another Hannah, I might never have looked closely if it weren't for the way he wrote his own story. That first night after Carol's call, I sat on my sofa in my faded pajamas, scrolling through Liam's profile. He and new Hannah had met at the gym. There were photos of them on holiday in Tenerife, on a city break to Prague, grinning in front of a new-built house with the developer's logo on the sold board. Caption, finally homeowners. Big thanks to my rock. Couldn't have done it without you. I tried very hard to be normal about it. Exes move on. They have babies. That's life. I closed the app, made a cup of tea, and told myself to leave it alone. The next morning, my letterbox clattered at 7:45 a.m. I pattered downstairs in my dressing gown and picked the post up off the mat. Gas bill, pizza leaflet, and one brown window envelope from HM Revenue and Customs. Addressed to Mrs. H. Price. I opened it with my thumb. Inside was a letter about child benefit. We note that child benefit is currently being claimed at your address for Noah Price Dobb, the 14th of March 2024. Please inform us if any of the above details are incorrect. In one sentence. My life tilted. Someone had registered a child's benefit at my address. In my name, I stood in my hallway, staring at the boiler cupboard, heart doing that deep. Sick lurched out, it could have been a simple admin error. Knew Hannah might also be a Mrs. H. Price. Maybe the system had mangled our addresses, but the letter had my NI number on it. That doesn't come from nowhere. This is where my job background kicked in. Nurses see admin errors every day. We also see patterns. If someone is using your name and NI number for benefit claims, what else have they been happy to use it for? I rang the HMRC helpline. A tired-sounding man answered. We went through security. I read the letter reference. Yes, Mrs. Price, he said, tapping away. We've got a live child benefit claim at your Levenshulme address. Claimant, Hannah Price. Partner, Liam Price. Child, Noah Price. All looks normal here. Partner, that word lodged in my throat like dry bread. Can you tell me when that claim started? I asked, keeping my voice level. Application date the 18th of March, he said. I proved the 2nd of April. Is something wrong, ma'am? I am divorced from Liam Price, I said carefully. I do not have a child. I don't live with him, I think. Someone has used my details without my consent. He went very quiet. When he spoke again, his voice had put on its professional hat. Right, he said. In that case, I'm going to log this as a potential identity misuse. I'll freeze the claim pending investigation. Please don't destroy that letter. You'll also need to contact Action Fraud and your local police to get a crime reference number. The call took 15 minutes. I wrote the reference numbers down in my scruffy notebook. Next to them, I wrote one name, Liam, that evening. Part of me wanted to march round to his new build, bang on the door, and wave the letter in his face. Instead, I did what I've spent my adult life doing when something doesn't add up on a chart. I drew a timeline. When had we last updated joint accounts? When had I sent him copies of my payslips for the mortgage we never used? Where had my NI number been written down that he could see? Somewhere in that banal admin trail, he'd quietly pocketed my details. I pulled my credit reports next. Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. I'd last checked them just after the divorce. They'd been clean then, this time, tucked near the bottom between my genuine car insurance and mobile bill. Was a credit search from a mortgage broker I didn't recognize. Dated 9 months earlier. Product, joint residential mortgage. Applicants, H. Price and L. Price. The broker had looked at my file, then gone away. No new account had been opened in my name. They hadn't needed me in the end, somewhere between that check and the actual mortgage. Liam had switched me out for new Hannah. He'd used me for the how much can I borrow stage, then plugged someone else in for the signing. Like using my credit as a test drive. I kept scrolling. At the very bottom was a note I'd never seen before. Association, Liam Price. Financial link created 2016. Not yet broken. I'd assumed that divorcing him and untangling our joint accounts had severed all ties. Apparently, the databases disagreed. On paper, I was still associated with him, which meant any whiff of fraud around his name could splatter onto my record the next day. In a sunlit office above a police station that smelled of dust and printer toner, I told a detective called PC Laura McKenna the whole story. She was in her late 30s, sharp bob, eyes that miss nothing. Identity misuse between ex-partners is more common than you'd think, she said, making notes. Most of what you've described so far is benefit fraud against HMRC, rather than direct theft from you. But the fact he's used your name and NI to claim child benefit at your address is serious. So what happens now? I asked. HMRC will investigate the claim, she said. We'll log this with Action Fraud, and I'll advise you to speak to your credit reference agencies about breaking any remaining financial associations with him. If anything new pops up in your name, loans, utilities, accounts, you ring me immediately. Do I tell him? I asked Liam. That's up to you, she said. But I'd recommend you don't confront him alone. He already thinks it's acceptable to use your identity. People like that don't always react well when you turn the lights on. I went home and sat at my tiny kitchen table with a mug of tea going cold. Liam's Facebook open on my cracked phone. There he was, beaming with baby Noah. Comments flooding in. So happy for you, mate. Dad life looks good on you. You and Hannah make a gorgeous family. Underneath, new Hannah had replied to one of the comments. We're so grateful for all the support. Liam couldn't have done it without me. I clicked onto her profile. Scroll back, January, photo of a positive pregnancy test. Caption, can't wait to become Mrs. Price this summer. With a ringy emoji, my stomach flipped. I remembered a form from last year one Liam had messaged me about out of the blue. He texted, hey, random favor. Do you still have a PDF of our old marriage certificate? Need it for a stupid form about my pension. Can't find my copy. Tush at the time, it hadn't seemed odd. Bureaucracy loves certificates. I'd scanned it and emailed it over. Glad to be the helpful one and keep things amicable. Now, I pictured that same certificate sitting in a folder on his computer, my name on it. A demonstration he was officially married to a Hannah Price once. All it would take was a sloppy clerk, a blurred scan, and a man who finds it easier to adjust documents than tell the truth. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, halfway through my asthma clinic, the receptionist knocked on the nursery door. Hannah? Sorry, your mum's on the phone. Says it's urgent. My stomach dropped. I picked up the line. Love, did you know Liam's put you on his baby's birth announcement? Mum demanded. No hello, no preamble. Aunt John just rang me. She thinks you've got back with him. I nearly dropped my tea. I've seen it, Mum, I said. It's not me. Well, I know that, she sniffed. I've got eyes. That girl's barely out of school. But why's he saying her name's Hannah Price? And why's HMRC writing to you about child benefit, eh? So Carol had rung my mum too. The grapevine was working overtime because Liam used my details, I said, keeping my voice as calm as I could. He put my name and NI number on the forms. I've reported it. There was a long exhale on the other end. I always knew that lad was slippery, Mum muttered. You listen to me, Hannah Louise. You let the authorities sort it. Don't you go playing the hero with him. He'll have you back in the stew in no time. It was the first time in years my mother and I had agreed about anything. HMRC moved faster than I expected. Within 3 weeks, the child benefit claim was stopped. A formal letter arrived confirming they had opened an investigation into a potentially fraudulent claim made in your name. Liam texted me that night. Liam, what the hell, Hannah? LIAM, why have HMRC frozen our child benefit? LIAM, they're saying you've told them it's fraud. LIAM, this is my son we're talking about. Are you insane? I stared at the messages. Typed, deleted, retyped. In the end, I wrote, me, you used my NI number and address without my consent. That is fraud. Take it up with HMRC. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Liam, you're overreacting. It was just easier to reuse your details while we sorted the paperwork. You've got no idea how stressful it's been. New house, job changes, baby. I was going to fix it later. There it was. The same script I'd heard 100 times when we were married. I was being dramatic. He was under pressure. The line between admin shortcut and crime was one I was apparently too uptight to understand. Me. You don't get to reuse my identity because your life is stressful. Lose my number for anything that isn't strictly necessary. I blocked him. Over the next month, new letters trickled in. The Child Benefit Office. The local council about a housing benefit overpayment connected to his old flat. Even a water company in a different part of Manchester I'd never lived in. Querying an account in Mrs. H. Price's name. Each time I rang, explained. Sent scanned copies of my decree absolute and a signed statement denying any association with the address. Each time, I made sure they knew there was a new partner in his life. A different Hannah. Not in a vindictive way. In a clinical, factual way, because whatever else she was, new Hannah was now tethered to him and their child. She deserved accurate paperwork. One Thursday afternoon, just as I was finishing a smear test clinic, PC McKenna rang. We've had a response from Liam, she said. He's admitted he used your NI number for the child benefit claim. Said he was confused and thought he could just update the address later. HMRC aren't buying it. Will he be charged? I asked. Probably not over this alone, she said. They'll recover any overpayment, give him a formal warning, maybe a penalty. but it gives you a solid record of misuse if anything else crops up. And we've put a note on our system that you are at risk of identity misrepresentation by him. Good, I said. There was a pause. I'm going to say something a bit out of turn, she added. You come across as very calm about this, which makes me think you're used to tidying up after other people's messes. I gave a humorless little laugh. I'm an NHS nurse, I said. It's the job. Don't let him frame this as you overreacting, she said. He stole your details. He attempted to attach you to a child you've never met, for money. That's not a mix-up. That's entitlement. After we hung up, I sat in the staff toilet cubicle for a minute. The clinical blue walls closing in. Entitlement is a soft word for something that feels like a punch. That evening, curiosity got the better of me. I made a new Facebook account with a fake name, added a few random pages, and sent a friend request to Nuhana. She accepted within an hour. Scrolling through her post felt like watching a film I'd once been in. Raycast with younger actors. Selfies with Liam at the Trafford Centre. Photos of their new sofa. An ultrasound picture with the caption, "Can't wait to meet you, Little Bean," and under it, a comment from Liam, "Your mummy is the strongest woman I know." Hannah Price. That was the day I changed my own name back to my maiden name by Dpol. At work, at the bank, on my driving license, everywhere. Not because I thought a bit of paper would magically sever all ties, but because I wanted there to be only one Hannah Price in his life. And it wasn't going to be me. 6 months later, I was running an asthma review clinic when a teenage girl came in with her little brother in a pram. "Hi, I'm Hannah," I said automatically. She smiled. "I'm Hannah too," she said. "This is my brother Noah. Mum couldn't get time off, so I brought him." The name hit me like stepping into cold air. She handed over his red book. Under Mother, in neat black ink, was written, "Hannah Louise Price. Your mum's called Hannah as well." I asked lightly, flipping through the immunisation section. She nodded. "She's in the car. She hates doctors," she said. "My stepdad's called Liam. We used to live in Didsbury, but we moved after some drama with his ex, after the appointment." I stepped into the corridor and looked out of the waiting room window. A young woman in a parka stood on the pavement by the car park, smoking a vape, hair scraped into a messy bun. She looked exhausted, the way I'd looked at 28, when I was doing 3 12-hour shifts a week and still doing all the cooking. Our eyes met through the glass for a split second. She couldn't know who I was, but my body recognized the tilt of her shoulders. Someone braced for the next minor disaster. I went back into my room and shut the door. Some stories don't need a face-to-face scene. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is quietly make sure the system has the facts. Then step back. A year after the whole child benefit mess, I was asked to help write a staff guidance note for our practice on patients at risk of identity misuse in domestic breakups. It wasn't glamorous. It was a 1-page PDF, but it meant that the next time a receptionist got a call saying, "Can you change the contact number and address on my ex's record? She's just moved back in with me." They had a script. I'm afraid we need to hear that directly from her. It meant that when someone came in saying, "I've started getting letters about debts I don't recognize," the GP didn't just shrug and say, "We can't help with that," but knew to point them towards Action Fraud and the credit reference agencies. On my 32nd birthday, I didn't get any calls from ex-in-laws. I got a text from a colleague. Just had a patient tell me her ex tried to use her NI number for universal credit. Remembered your story. Gave her the right links. She cried with relief. Thought you'd want to know XX. I looked around my little terrace, the second-hand sofa, the plants that refused to die, the absence of someone else's PS5 cables trailing across the floor. For the first time, I felt something like glad. Not glad it had happened. I would still rather my ex hadn't turned my identity into a shortcut, but glad that I hadn't stayed quiet. Glad that when he tried to graft my name onto his new life, I'd stood up, in my very calmest nurse voice, and said, "No, if you've listened this far and any part of your stomach twisted when I said child benefit letter or name on the hospital bracelet, here's what I want you to do. Pull your credit report. All 3 agencies. Check what financial associations are still listed. Ask to sever any that don't apply. Make sure HMRC, DWP and your GP all have your correct address and contact details, not your ex's. And if a letter arrives about a debt, benefit or baby you've never had, Don't laugh at orphasm mix-up. Call, ask, log it. You do not owe anyone your details just because you once loved them. And if someone tries to build a new life using the scraps of the one you left, remember this, you don't have to go back into the house to prove it's on fire. You can stand on the pavement, dial the right number, and walk away. 6 months after the child benefit mess, our practice switched to a new electronic record system. Every patient had to reconfirm their consent preferences, who we could talk to, who their next of kin was, who was allowed to see their appointment details. The admin team printed the usual stack of forms. Patients ticked boxes without reading them. Husbands put their names on wives' files. Parents put partners' names on children's. I'd been in my consultation room for hours. Blood pressures and inhaler technique blurring together, when a young woman in her mid-20s came in for a smear test and shoved the privacy form back at me with more force than necessary. "Can you make sure he's not on there?" she said. Liam. Her last name was different, but the way she said his name made my stomach tighten. "What's your full name?" I asked, stalling while my brain did the maths. "Hannah Wood," she said. "Sorry, I just." My ex used to ring surgeries pretending to be me. I don't want anything going to him. Her date of birth matched the one I'd seen on new Hannah's Facebook. I looked down at the form. Under emergency contact, there was a scribbled out name and number. Someone at reception had pre-printed an old contact from her record. "Liam Price, you're fine," I said. "We'll remove all his details from your file. Only people you explicitly name will get any info," she exhaled. Her shoulders dropped half an inch. "Sorry," she said. "I'm jumpy, his." Not great with boundaries, we went through the smear. Normal clinical chat. Holidays, work, the weather. She was studying part-time and doing night shifts at a warehouse. Noah was 18 months now and into everything. As she strapped him back into the buggy at the end. He grinned at me with the gap-toothed charm of toddlers everywhere and tried to steal my pen. "Cheeky," I said, handing it over. "Yeah," she said, smiling tiredly. "He gets that from his dad." She didn't know who I was. She didn't know that for a few months of his life, his benefits had been claimed with my NI number and my address. She didn't know about the closed file at HMRC with Liam's name on it and the word misuse in the notes for the next week. I couldn't get her out of my head, not because of Liam specifically, but because I recognized that tight, braced way she moved. The way she clocked her was in the waiting room before she sat down. The way she apologized for existing every time she opened her mouth. I'd been that woman. Different postcode, different accents in the waiting room. Same posture. One evening, after another long day, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop and typed into Google, NHS guidance domestic abuse controlling finances, and identity. The top result was a rather dry nice guideline. The second was a toolkit from a domestic abuse charity about coerced debt and identity misuse in relationships. I read it cover to cover. It described exactly what Liam had done, using your partner's name and NI number to apply for benefits, loans or utilities, putting credit in their name because they have the better score, telling them they're overreacting if they raise it, leaving them with black marks on their record when the relationship ends. There were suggestions for professionals, what to ask, what to look out for, how to document. By the time I closed my laptop, a thought was forming that scared me more than any letter from HMRC. If I, someone who reads guidelines for a living, had been blindsided by this, how many of my colleagues were missing it too? The following month, our primary care network had a safeguarding training afternoon. The original topic was falls prevention in the elderly, useful. But at the bottom of the email was a line. If anyone has a case or experience to share around safeguarding and money, identity, please contact Dr. Shah. I hovered over the reply button for a full 10 minutes. Then I typed, happy to share a identified case from my own lifery. Ex-partner using NI number benefits if useful. Hannah practice nurse. Dr. Shah replied within the hour, yes, please. This is exactly the kind of thing staff don't spot early. 10 to 15 minutes okay? That's how I ended up standing in a meeting room above the surgery on a rainy Wednesday, telling 20 GPS, nurses, HCAs and receptionists about a child benefit letter and a man who thought my identity was a form he could copy-paste. I kept it factual. I described patienta, divorced, No children. Ex-partner's new baby registered for benefits at her address with her NI. The steps she took. Credit checks. Action fraud. HMRC, police. The emotional fallout. The risk to her job if debts had landed on her. I didn't say me. I didn't say Liam. I didn't need to. Halfway through, the senior receptionist put her hand up. We get blokes all the time ringing saying my missus can't talk now. Just put me on as her contact, she said. We've always just done it. Didn't think, another nurse murmured. I had a patient last month whose ex had taken out catalogue accounts in her name while they were together. She only found out when bailiffs turned up. I didn't know who to tell. Afterwards, one of the GPS mid-50s, usually brusque to the point of rude, caught me on the stairs. That was useful, he said, clearly unused to praising nurses. My daughter's just moved in with her boyfriend. I'm going to tell her to check her credit report. That night, for the first time, I felt the story lift slightly off my chest. Like it wasn't just something stupid that had happened to me. It was data, training material, a cautionary tale with bullet points. A few weeks later, another letter arrived from HMRC, short, to the point, following our investigation into the child benefit claim in your name. We have concluded that your details were used without your informed consent. We have permanently marked your record to prevent reuse by the same party and to ensure any future claims require additional verification. There was a line at the bottom that made me snort. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. I hadn't reported it to be thanked. I'd reported it because the alternative was letting Liam rewrite reality in Biro. In early spring, my deed poll came back approved. I took the letter to work, to the bank, to the DVLA. New cards arrived in the post with my old new surname, Walker. I'd been born Hannah Walker. I'd let that go at 23 because it seemed romantic to change it. Now, at 32, holding a debit card with H. Walker on it felt less like romance and more like CP. My mother, predictably, had a comment. Finally got rid of Price. Have you? She said, stirring sugar into her tea. Good, never liked that boy. You came to the wedding? I pointed out. She shrugged. I like cake. She eyed the card. Feels good, does it? She asked. Yeah, I said simply. It does. Months passed. Life shrank back down to the everyday, blood tests, prescriptions, bin day. The dog next door barking at nothing. One Friday afternoon, as I was packing up to leave work, our practice manager popped his head into my room. Hannah, sorry? Hannah Walker, he corrected himself with a faint smile. Got a request from the clinical commissioning group. They're pulling together a piece on financial and identity abuse in relationships for Domestic Abuse Awareness Week. Would you be willing to be interviewed anonymously? Old me would have said no. Too busy, too personal. Not my place. New me, apparently, said, sure. The interview was done in a small boardroom with a journalist from the CCG Calms team. She had kind eyes and a terrifyingly efficient digital recorder. Why did you agree to share this? She asked. Because when it happened, I thought it was just me being stupid, I said. Now I know it's a pattern. And patterns are easier to break if you can see them. She asked about red flags. I talked about partners insisting on doing all the online forms because you're rubbish with computers, being called dramatic or ungrateful when you ask to see what you're signing, letters arriving about things you've never applied for, that sinking feeling when someone says, I'll fix it later, and later never comes. A few weeks after the piece went out in a staff newsletter, my email pinged, subject, saw your story. Thank you. It was from one of the new receptionists. She wrote that her ex had taken out a phone contract in her name and then vanished. She'd been too embarrassed to mention it. Thought it made her look naive. Reading what you said made me realize it's not just me, she wrote. I've rung action fraud. Feels like taking a brick out of my chest. I forwarded the message to PC McKenna with a single line. You were right about people needing to hear this. She replied with a thumbs up emoji and, anytime you fancy joining Sid, let me know. One Saturday, about 18 months after the baby announcement, that wasn't mine. I was in Aldi staring at the hummus when a familiar voice said my name, Hannah. I turned. Liam stood at the end of the aisle, a basket in one hand, a toddler in the other. He looked older, tired. The cocky energy was muted. Noah clung to his jeans, wide-eyed. All right, I said, because Yorkshire politeness dies hard. even in Mancunians. Yeah, he said. Yeah, you look well. Walker suits you, I shrug. It's my name. He shifted his weight. Listen, he said. I know I was a knob. With the forms. With everything. I don't know. Thought I could hack the system. Always have. Didn't think about what it meant for you. That's the problem, I said. You didn't think about me. At all, he nodded, shame flickering across his face. We split up, me and other Hannah, he said, gesturing vaguely. She got wise to me eventually. Took Noah, moved back in with her mum. Social services have got me on a short leash. Probably for the best. I looked down at Noah. He was pushing a toy car across the floor tiles. Hi, mate, I said softly. You all right? He grinned. Car go fast, he announced. Yeah, it does, I said. Liam watched us. I'm trying to do better, he said quietly. Got a steady job. No more stupid schemes. I've got two, for him, including not using other people's names. I said, including that, he said. HMRC scared the crap out of me, to be fair. Never want that letter again. We stood there for a second in the fluorescent hum. I'm not going to forgive you just because you say you're sorry in Aldi, I said. But I appreciate you saying it. Out loud, he nodded. Fair enough. He wheeled his basket away, Noah toddling at his side. I picked up the hummus I'd come in for and felt. Not closure, exactly. But something like the end of a chapter. Here's the thing about identity. Paperwork can be changed, reissued, re-entered. Names can be stolen or borrowed or misused. But the story you tell yourself about what happened, that's the bit you actually live with. For a long time, my internal story was, I was so stupid. I should have known. I should have checked. Now, it's simpler. Someone crossed a line. I noticed. I did something. You don't have to become an amateur detective or a safeguarding lead to protect yourself. You just have to open the letters. Believe the uneasy feeling in your stomach. Ask, can I see that? And be willing to be called dramatic in order to keep your life your own. If you're listening to this and thinking, I don't even know where my own NI number is, or my partner handles all that. I'd be lost without them. Take this as a gentle nudge. Find your papers. Know what's in your name. Check your digital footprint, because love can be generous, reckless, complicated, difficult, but it never, ever needs your national insurance number just for now.